15-second art tips. Let's talk hair. The common mistake that people make is that they draw lines that are all the same. It just looks really boring. What you can do instead is flick your wrist. Make the start of your line darker than the end. Just loosen your hand.
Here are some of my secrets on how you can become a better artist.
I'm going to show you how to draw a hand. First step, we're going to draw out the wrist. Next, we're going to draw the palm's outline. The palm shape should resemble something like a fan. Next, we're going to draw a guideline for the fingers. The finger guideline should look something like a rainbow. Now we start drawing the shapes of the fingers. Next step is to go back and clean up the hand. And then boom, you're all done.
Hey, here's some weird art tips I learned in school. The first is when you're drawing a person from reference, do the head last. And this is because we naturally want to make the head huge compared to the body. The second is that you gotta simplify everything into boxes. The head's facing one way, the torso's facing one way, and the nips are like the eyes of the torso. They follow that line too. Simplifying that really helps. Next is that you got to identify the joints. Because when we're looking at a foreshortened arm, our lizard brains are like, no, it can't possibly be that short. But look at that distance, man, it's shorter than his hand. The next is that when you're drawing hands, make sure they're the size of the face. I know, it's weird. Ooh, and a huge facial tip is to draw the nose first. If you can get the nose, you can get the rest of the face. Because that nose provides a central reference for everything. But don't take my word for it. Try it yourself, and check us out on IG at sparketh.com.
Drawing tips. Today we're doing trees. Second most hated next to hands. Now, funny thing, I recently figured out that trees are actually a lot simpler than they look. So what you do is this. Start off with just a squiggly line of any sort. Make another and do that. Then make the base. From that, you make just connecting veins off of the two. Make sure to add veins to the ones you just made as well that just branch off. Preferably in an outward direction. Makes it easier if you think about everything comes in V's. So you get something like that. Now thicken the bottom, like these. Say you want that tree thick. Also, the trunk is never straight. Give it a little bit of bumpiness. Roots are just like the top. And there you got the base of a tree. Leaves will come later.
How to become an artist.
Okay, so what you'll need is a sketchbook and a pencil,
And then attempt to draw.
and then realize that your drawing sucks.
So then you sell your soul to the devil, and now you can draw.
Here are some tips for beginner artists. I know I'm not the best artist out there, but I'll give you some tips and tricks that I use. When coloring your drawing, I wouldn't use Crayola or Crazy Art because they don't blend as good as Prismacolor. I really highly recommend Prismacolor color pencils. When drawing fur on an animal, I would use an X-Acto knife or a sharp object. Obviously, I don't own an X-Acto knife, so I'm using a screwdriver. This helps you get really fine looking fur. When blending graphite, I'd use a brush instead of a blending stick because it makes your drawing less smudgy. Also, when coloring, make sure you move your pencil more in a circular motion. It helps you blend your drawing better than just moving your pencil up and down. And finally, I would recommend to buy a white gel pen. It helps you create more depth and highlights in your drawings. Thank you for watching.
Here's one shape I learned that changed my art. Draw 2 squiggles that come to a point. Then just continue it from the inside and repeat the pattern. You can use this technique for grass, hair, ribbons, bandages, and even horns. You can shade roughly or take a fancier approach.
More art tips with a brush pen. Easy cartoon side profile. Looks like a poorly drawn 3. Straight line, ear, mouth, eye. And there you go.
Hello. So I often get asked how my phone is set up when I'm doing my live streams or my drawing time lapses. And since I am very poor and can't afford a tripod, I thought I would share my trick for other artists, and I hope it helps, and I'm probably going to blow your mind. You just put a hanger on 2 books, and then you put your phone right on the hanger. You're welcome.
I'm going to be showing you a really easy way to paint lavender. Start with some light green stem. Make these little knobs with some dark green. That's where the leaves come out. Add your leaves, highlight them of course, and you basically go purple polka dots. Start with the darker color and then work a lighter color over top. Honestly, couldn't be simpler.
Art tip of the day: don't judge your art while you're creating it. A lot of us are really hard on ourselves when we're creating, and I do it too, where I look at my art and I'm like, this is shit. And then I remind myself, I'm not even done. If someone else walked up to my art while I was working on it and said, this is shit, I would get pretty mad at them. I'd be like, you didn't even see the finished product. So why are we letting ourselves be such jerks? I recommend to not judge your work while you're making it, step back for a few hours, and then if you really want to judge your work, come back and then judge it. But don't do it while you're creating. You're going to stunt your growth. Imagine if there was someone sitting next to you while you were creating and saying, this is shit, this is shit, this is shit. You would probably kick them out of your studio. Yet you allow yourself to speak that way when you're creating. So all I ask today is that you be kinder to yourself while you're creating, because you'll create something better.
Hey guys, what's up? So I've heard a lot of people say that they're afraid to get into resin art because they don't want to mess up their project or waste money on materials. So here's my advice to you. Go to the craft store, buy the cheap shit to get started, watch a whole bunch of YouTube videos, follow resin artists on Instagram, and just practice. You're gonna mess up at first, you're not gonna be perfect, and that's totally okay. I started resin art about a year ago, and look how far I've come. Just go make things.
Colored pencil tips for beginners, Part 1. If the drawing is dull at a certain angle, use a tissue to wipe it off. It will look so much better. Always keep a paper under your hand to avoid smudging. Whenever you're coloring, don't use your hand to wipe off the wax shaving. Get any makeup brush and wipe it off. Use a marker for the base. It will help you save time and save lead. Whenever you're drawing, the first layer always has to be light. Then you keep on adding layers, moving the pencil in circular motions to make it look better. Like for Part 2.
Yo, what up everybody? Artist Tips and Tricks Part 6. Grab yourself some stencil paper, a machine, the pencil I showed you how to wrap in the last video, and something to trace. Boom! Put the picture up you want to trace, grab your machine, put the pencil in just like you would place a tube, make it nice and tight. This helps me with my line work and getting used to the machine's weight. Like, comment, and share for more.
An important art tip that I absolutely swear by is using Payne's gray instead of black in all of my painting. I don't even remember the last time I used black. Payne's gray brings a really amazing richness to every dark here and mixes really well for skin tones and shadows.
These are the names of the most common brush types you can find at art stores. This is a round. It's pointy at the end, but when you look down the center of it, it's a circle. When the brush is shaped like a rectangle, but it's thin on one side, it's a flat. When the brush is thin on one side, but square, when you turn it one way, that's called a bright. And when it looks like a rectangle with rounded corners, that's called a filbert. When it's short, it's called a short filbert. And long-haired round brushes are called liners. Those are the most common brushes, but there's also some weird ones too. This one's called a lunar blender. This one is an oval wash. This is called a grainer. The bristles are thick at the bottom, but they get thinner at the top. They're really good for fur. This is called a dagger. It's shaped like a knife. A lot of sign painters use these. And then there's just some weird guys. This one's called the Reinen Chunk and Borscht. And then there are brushes that look like this. These are called much loved brushes.
How to become an artist. Okay, so what you'll need is a sketchbook and a pencil, and then attempt to draw, and then realize that your drawing sucks.
So then you sell your soul to the devil, and now you can draw.